So if everybody is basically putting their money in the current account, it's great for the bank because it's free money for them. The number of people right now putting money in their current accounts is increasing. Hello everybody. HDFC's net interest income in the last quarter increased by 24.6%. For ICICI, that number was 34%, and for Kotak, it is 30%. Almost all the banks have performed exceedingly well. Now the question is, why are all the banks performing well at the same time, and if there is any bank which is relatively better positioned versus others? Now to learn about these questions, all we need is the first page of HDFC quarterly results. To understand why the industry is performing better and also which bank is doing better relative to others, we just need this one single page. In this video, we are going to analyze this first page and 4 factors in this page. Number 1, net interest income. Number 2, CASA proportion, CASA proportion. Number 3 is your NPA. And number 4 is your net interest margin. We'll also be looking at the deposit rates. Now, jumping into this, please understand you do not need to have any kind of banking expertise to learn about how to go through these P&L statements and subsequently do fundamental analysis of any bank to probably invest in the stock market or to learn more about this industry itself. So let's get started with the first point. Now, before we jump into the CASA ratio, let's just understand how banks make this entire money. So let's assume HDFC has 100 rupees right now, and that 100 rupees is coming from 2 depositors, person A and person B. 50 rupees each adds up to 100 rupees, and subsequently HDFC gives out loans to all these 5 people. This interest rate of the loan that is lending at is 10%, so it gets 110 rupees back, and the deposit rate is 3%, let's say. So it has to give the original people who gave money, it has to give 103 rupees. So the difference, the 7 rupees, is nothing but the net interest income, which is represented on the first line of the P&L statement for every single bank. Now the point is, why is this increasing for every bank? Let's first realize, for this to increase, for this 7 rupees to increase, if this comes down to 102, we are good. And how can this come to 102 right now? If this person A is depositing 50 rupees through a current account, the interest on a current account right now is 0. And if this person is depositing the current account, if this person is depositing in a savings account instead of a current account, this interest rate, assume it is 3%. So if everybody is basically putting their money in the current account, it's great for the bank because it's free money for them. The number of people right now putting money in their current accounts is increasing, and that is being helpful for the banks. The reason is the total number of UPI transactions in the country have increased by 10 times between 2019 and 2020. And the reason why people are parking the money in the current account is because there are no restrictions with respect to the number of transactions you make, and it enables them to link that particular current account to the UPI, and hence an ease of transaction. However, the savings account has a lot of restrictions, the number of transactions that you make, so on and so forth. Hence, not many people are currently putting money in the savings account. This is a shift that is happening across the industry, so almost all the banks are benefiting from this shift. So the CASA ratios are increasing. Higher the number in current accounts, the better for the banks. The second ratio that we need to look at is NPA. NPA nothing but is about the number of accounts which are defaulting on their loans. For example, this individual does not pay back all the 20 rupees but only pays back 18 rupees and then says, hey bank, I do not have the last 2 rupees to pay. I'm defaulting. In that scenario, let's assume all the others pay back their money along with interest. In that scenario, what the bank is saying is, there are 2 rupees which I'm not able to recover at all. So that 2 rupees is coming from this 100 rupees initial base. So 2%, 2 by 100, 2% is my NPA, non-performing asset. At an industry level, these non-performing assets are also coming down. And one of the reasons is that majority of the people are now paying back their loans and also interest. Reason, people are becoming more and more credit oriented. They want to borrow more. And if they want to borrow more, their credit scores should be high. And for the credit score to be high, they have to keep paying their interest on time. This information and this awareness is increasing among the people, subsequently reducing the NPA. Now the CASA ratio increasing and the NPA ratio decreasing are both beneficial for the bank, which is helping them improve the net interest income subsequently. Also, there is one more interesting factor over here, that is net interest margin. The net interest margins for the banks are also doing very well because in the last few months and in the last few quarters, the inflation and the interest rates by RBI have been increased, which means banks are now charging higher interest rates for the loans. But at the same time, it is not giving money to the customer because all the deposits are coming into the current accounts. So this net interest margin itself is increasing. So now you can see how this 7 rupees has increased to 8 rupees, 9 rupees, subsequently helping every single bank in the industry. Now the question is, how are these banks differentiating one from the other, or which bank is doing well compared to the rest? Let's go through each one of these metrics. CASA ratio. CASA ratio, simple. All these banks higher the better number, and currently Kotak has huge advantage. The free money that is coming into Kotak's account is more than 55%, whereas for the other banks it is in mid-40s. Let's move into the second number, that is the NPA. The non-performing assets, HDFC has the lowest ratio, which is great for them. The interesting other factor then is which factor determines which bank will do well. For the bank to give out the 100 rupee loans, it has to have 100 rupees in its account, which means the number of deposits coming into the bank should also increase. We need to look at deposit growth percentages. The deposit rate is highest in HDFC at 19.9% compared to 10% in ICICI and 13% in Kotak. According to me, this is where the future of the banks lie. For them to give out loans in this credit society, it's easy. People want that credit. However, banks can only give these credit loans if it has the deposits. The bank which is having great customer service, the bank which is being in that digital space and making the transaction easier for the customer, is the place where customers are going for deposits. And HDFC seems to have a better edge compared to all the other banks right. If you ask me, this is the most important metric right now for all the banks, because rest all metrics are primarily driven by the economy except the deposit rates, which is driven by the bank itself. Now just to summarize, take a step back. Number one, if you have to analyze any bank, look at these four things. Number one is their CASA ratio. Number two is your NPA. Number three is your net interest margin and net interest income, which is of course driven by the first two factors. And finally, the other important metric is your deposit growth rate. The second one, where are these banks headed? I believe the war among the banks is not about giving more loans, but getting more deposits at this time. Well, I'm trying to make this analysis as simple as possible. There are probably a lot of other factors too, but this, according to me, is the fundamental base based on which we can go analyze more factors and subsequently decide, hey, do you want to invest in a stock versus not, and also how deep you want to go and understand the banking industry. If you have any questions related to this video, please do go ahead, put it in the comments box. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If this is helpful, please go ahead, click on that like button, subscribe to the channel, and also do let me know. Thanks so much once again. Take care. See you again. Bye-bye.